Welcome. Today I have Josephine Sorciere. She is a sophisticated alchemist encoding extraordinary people into their next level of brilliance. Josephine unravels the mystery of your mind, stop suffocating your genius, and ignite your codes of remembrance, activating who you really came here to be. She is also an aspiring author, wisdom teacher, mentor, and encoder for many lifetimes. Welcome, Josephine.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yes, I am thrilled to have you on the podcast and share with everyone your wonderful wisdom. So, I'm going to ask you the first question I ask everyone, and that
Mm.
is, what does enlightenment mean to you?
Enlightenment to me is about living fully, allowing all of life to come through you, accepting all of you of who you are. You're not broken, there's nothing to fix. Enlightenment means being open-hearted to continually evolve into the next version of who you be each and every moment. And by staying present and not being stuck in thoughts of the past or projecting to the future and what ifing on yourself, we can really fill ourselves with the expanded energies that give us the freedom of mind. And I think that's really what people are searching for at the end of the day, is just have that freedom of mind to be truly themselves, to show up authentically, powerfully, for who they came here to be. So enlightenment is having that wisdom and that awakening to own all of that and to be willing to do the hard work that it takes to keep peeling back the layers and moving deeper and deeper into your own truth. So there we go. That's how I would sum it up.
That is an amazing explanation. There's so many layers to what you just said. The one I want to start with is the embracing your own truth and continually peeling back the layers, because so
Yes.
many times there's a misconception that maybe once you've attained a certain level or you start working in the spiritual realm that you have it all figured out. And everyone that has been called to this path is because they are a wounded healer. They've experienced something in their life that brought them here, and they're always on their own journey and continually peeling back their own layers.
Absolutely. I quite agree with that. I see a few people I call on the light grid that think, well, if I just keep moving towards the light and, it's this sort of the love and light myth, they're not prepared to look at the shadows that are chasing them all the time and to own that. And many people are afraid of the dark. And yet I feel that the dark energy is the void, is the pure, potent light, really. It's the energy of the feminine. And we are yin yang, we are masculine and feminine, we are both sides of that. We are shadow, we're gifts, and we're the higher frequencies. We are all of that. And any person that goes, well, I'm enlightened and there's no more work to do, that just comes from ego. And sometimes you need to get off your own pedestal and go and dig some dirt again, and be willing to find that shovel every time, and not be blinkered to the illusions that you're living under, and create that space, that open-hearted, to have that curious mind. I love the phrase, fascinating wonderment. And so people that think they've got it worked out, or this is what I do and this is all there is and there's no more to it, they're missing out on the joy of what life can bring them themselves. And that does require going into the dirt and digging past the illusions that people are blinkered to. So we are always work in progress. We came in with baggage, and it's like this lifetime to be willing to look at that and not only clear it for ourselves, but clear it for the collective consciousness. And that's what we're doing. And to me, unless you're really at the pinnacle of sitting on a hillside, not needing to eat, and can sit there without sleep, that might be the ultimate pinnacle before you pop off and your soul's complete on work. But I don't believe those gurus are listening to this kind of wisdom. So let's get real and let's start digging into our own truth. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And that's part of why I love dream work, because it does let us step into the shadows. It it invites you to integrate your darkness with your light and to recognize that, for example, nightmares that you might have or other messages that might come through in your dreams are really invitations from your higher self to integrate what you're hiding in your shadow. And it's so beneficial in a transformational way when we can learn how to, I say embrace, but I love the verb that you use, transmute.
Embracing is a great word because it means accepting all that is. I use the transmute. I call myself an alchemist. That means taking one form of energy, and it's not just transforming it to another, it's transmuting its very form into a higher level. That's what the original alchemist did, turning lead into gold. So when you can take your programming and those fear-driven energies or the subconscious dreams that you've got and transmute them through your own realization and awakening consciousness by looking at those things, you're transmuting them into a sustainable higher frequency. And I feel that a lot of work that is out there available through healers or just reading text, they take you up here. Oh, that makes me feel good. And then they come back here. Well, how can I not move that pattern? And they're doing this the whole time. And then they're frustrated. How do I get out of this? I'm sort of stuck. I'm stuck in my head. Going back to what you're saying. Oh, I thought I should have it all figured out by that. Stop shooting on yourself, people. And learn how to sustainably transmute those energies, those thoughts through your own awareness and ownership that you're choosing to come and operate from that higher place of power and your higher frequency.
So I would love to share with listeners how you came to work with this. How did you become a quantum alchemist? It's not something you can go to school for.
That's exactly right. It's not something, oh, there's a book on the shelf and I'll pull that one off. I like the phrase that, genius is uncertifiable. There are gifts beyond gifts that come. I believe that gifts come from your mind in this 3D reality. But when we get out of our mind and we move into higher frequencies, the real abilities come through. And so that's where, in this place I operate now. But of course, it was never always like that. I came from I lived in England for the first 30 years of my life. Grew up in a pretty abusive household. Mum died at 18. I had to leave home. It was pretty traumatic. Mum ended her life through cancer. My brother tried to end his life. I tried to end my life, the whole thing. So I thought, right, okay, at 18, I've got to prove to myself I can be dependent and I can be successful and I will drive myself until I achieve that. And so, on that corporate ladder, 2 degrees, working. And I got to, come up to 30, and I had a friend visit me from New Zealand. And I thought, why am I not living my life? I'm stuck in this corporate trap, that feeling of what's all very well earning and learning, but where's it getting me? I was rattling around in a big house on my own. What's the point? And through a series of circumstances, synchronicities, like always happens when you step back and you go, okay, I'm going to allow this. I got my working visa and I moved to New Zealand in 2001. And again, I loved the space. When you're moving to a new country, 2 suitcases, everything you own in storage, you have to have a level of trust. You have to be able to just go, you know what, I'm going to face the fears. I'd never visited the country. So it takes a lot to move to the other side of the world. I knew one person. And so I arrived in New Zealand, had some beautiful time off exploring a beautiful country, got a job, and then 2003 was really the start of my self-development healing journey. It was an amazing year, 2003. I sorted my health out. I quit smoking. I went back to England for a visit. I went to New York. I invited a friend out who later became my husband. It was like one of those transformational periods. And the reason that those happen, looking back in hindsight, is because I got out my own way. I allowed, or this came in, this came in, this came in, this came in. And the reason that we often stop that flow is that our mind kicks in going, how do I maintain this? How do I keep this going? I have to just keep working hard and keep striving. And of course, that just undoes it all, right? So at that point, I decided, right, I'm going to quit corporate. I'm going to start my own businesses, which I did. And I've owned my own businesses for the last, well, nigh on 20 years. But I transferred all that busyness and striving into self-development, healing work, and my own businesses. And, I got married and I had 2 kids, and we moved to Australia when I was pregnant. But again, the flow of things of, finding out you're pregnant on the day Mark got offered a job, and allowing that flow in 3 months to, first trimester, packing up a house, finding somewhere to live, moving. But I was in flow. It was allowing, it was trusting, and I got my visa with a day to spare. So I've had these periods that things have just gone dum, 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 beautifully. But then we get to that plateau of going, well, how can I maintain this? Why is this not working? And we go back into our minds. And I think for a lot of people, they're living on this emotional roller coaster. The highs are great. Look what I'm creating. And then, boom, oh my God, I don't know. Why is this not, I'm questioning. Let me figure it out. Let me try and find the solution. And that was so much my patterning. And, fast forward to 9 years ago, where we're 2014. And I had known for a while I needed to leave my husband. We were just on different trajectories. But it's hard. I wasn't creating an income. I had an A+ in creating tax losses, from all the money I'd invested in myself, in my healing, in the modalities, and the shiny object syndrome. I was doing internet marketing. I was doing, wealth creation strategies, all this stuff. It wasn't who I was. And I remember waking up one day going, well, here's my spiritual life over here, and here's my business life over here, and they're separate. So you can go, oh, I can do my meditations, and I'm reading all the books, and I'm following Esther Hicks and doing all the right things. And then here I am pushing myself to exhaustion in my business, running 4 houses, having 2 kids that didn't sleep, having an unsupportive husband. And it's people, you get to that point where you're so frazzled, you're so trapped, you're so exhausted. What else? And the only thing you can do at that point is surrender. Is going, I can't figure out anything more. I've got to step back. I've got to wait. And 9 years ago, I did that. And I used to listen to so many webinars before podcasts became a thing. And this one woman spoke about soul realms, actually. And I was like, I have to know more. It was like something lit up inside me, like I had an experience. When you come across something that resonates deeply within your soul, it's like it switches on this innate knowing, this like, dum, 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 you've got to know more. So I went for a session with her, and not only did she explain the realms, but took me on a journey there. And it was like, oh my goodness, finally being plugged into the power sources that I didn't know existed. It's like I've been trying to plug into my mind all my life, or plug into people around me. And it's like, nobody gave me the Earth's manual when I got here. My God, how hard was life? But that was a revolutionary session for me. And I went on and studied with her in the realms, learning about the realms. And Chaldean numerology, I also was fascinated by. So I've always had a fascination for understanding ourselves. And it's, it fundamentally comes down to, people search for their purpose. What am I meant to do in this lifetime? Let me keep striving. Let me keep seeking. What is I meant to be doing? And at the end of it is who we're meant to be. Who do we come here to be without all the effort? And the more that we can pull in the bits that set those parts alight within us, the doing comes naturally afterwards. Yeah. So I discovered the soul realms, I think about the June and in the September. It's literally 9 years tomorrow. It was when I said to my husband, right, I'm done. And within 6 weeks of that, I set up my healing business, Your Universal Self. It was all about, and I still talk about that, let's pull in the bigger picture of who we are, our higher self, all the aspects of ourselves. but I still strive for this. I was still playing small. I was still playing safe. You know, I was doing the wellness fairs and doing little readings at $40 a time, you know, all of this. And we've all been there trying to fit into the community. And, you know, well, we're all broke in the spiritual space because that's the preconception. So I can only charge this much. And it's just this illusional bandwagon of stereotypicals we put ourselves in. And I was striving and all of this, and my savings going down, and after a while, me and my spiritual mentor had a breakup. It was one of those things. It's like, I can't go any further. She's not showing up, and I called her on it, and she disappeared. And it was like, wow, I stepped into my power and gave myself a voice. And you know, again, that moment of what do you do? What do you do? And I went off and I created for a year business creating meditation scarves, beautiful handmade silk prints and everything, which was fantastic. And because I love design, I love creativity. They you know, helped with bring together my visionary element meditation and what I'm doing and creating my activations with it. But after the year, it's like, you know, $40,000 later, like, well, I don't want to market it. I just don't want to do it. So again, you have to step back. You have to step back going, you know, really, oh my God, once again, I've plowed a load of money into something. Once again, I failed. Once again, you know, the same stories. And the new year kicked round, and I put out this, right, I need to have some kind of guidance. How do I bring my healing work in with the scarves? And how do I, you know, who am I really? I'm lost. I'm still lost. Again, through a series of synchronicities, somebody watched a YouTube video of me and reached out to me, and we ended up having a conversation. She put me in front of this person. La 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 la. The path opens when you call in the teacher. They show up. They always do. And I came across this woman and her body of work, and it was like, wow, this is taking things to the next level. And some theories, if you like, that she had, I started applying it in my own life, and I went to the next. I really did go to the next level. And I had a one-on-one session with her. I literally had to sell shares to afford this one-on-one session with her. She was, you know, at that level. And she said, you're dabbling. She said, like Peter Pan, flitting from this, flitting from that. You're not diving in to what you're here for. And until you do, you're going to burn yourself out and you won't even be here. And I knew that she was right. You know, I knew that she was right because I was still going through this emotional roller coaster. But I had 2 kids. I wasn't going to do to my kids what my mother did to me and leave them and abandon them. I came here, I had some kind of contract. My kids have kept me here. And if I hadn't had them, I don't know if I would, frankly, because anyway. So I did this work, and through that year, Josephine Sorciere was birthed, was morphed, you know, into who I truly am. And I got myself out of my mind. You know, the sanest place to live is out of your mind. So many people are stuck here thinking this is the place to make decisions. This is the way to plan. This is the way to control. It's just 3D entrapment conditioning. So when we learn how to break free of that and how to move into the higher frequencies of who we are, my God, do we have freedom. So I went through a whole journey of transformation within myself, and along with my clients, I started charging what I was worth because of the profound level of transformation that I was witnessing with these women. And took them through initiation and then through 3-month programs, and many have come back and done more and more and more because they just are expanding so greatly. And the more we get out of our own way, the more that expands. And it's like, oh my God, I finally know what I'm here for. I'm finally living it. I'm doing it. I'm breathing it. And then about a year ago, a couple of tools came my way again through a series of synchronicities. And I'd looked at them before, but I hadn't really paid much attention. And I looked at one of the systems is called Gene Keys. And I looked at my chart, my activation chart, and it was like, that's what I do. That's who I am. oh my God, I felt so aligned, because it wasn't like, oh, now I know where I'm going. It's like, I'm already living it. And that was just such a reiteration for me to see something just simply based on my date of birth and time and location, to reiterate who I am. But it also opened up an opportunity for a new level of exploration, of self-exploration, and of course with my clients. So whilst my work is not purely based on the gene keys, it's an absolute brilliant tool to start knowing where your mode of operation is, to start being able to go within and look at where your shadow is and what your potential is. And of course, that's what I help my clients go through. Not only, well, here's your gene keys, you've got the information, now go away, which a lot of people can do, and it's very valid. And Richard Rudd, the creator of it, he's all about it takes 7 years for our body to replenish and go through our cycle. So it takes 7 years to go through this. And I'm like, I don't really want to spend the next 7 years. I've already spent 20 years doing this. But what I do know is that when I work in the quantum, which we can talk about more in a moment, that allows us to transmute in this moment throughout all time and space, so that we can immediately transmute from that shadow to the fear when our frequency in space is open enough to be receptive to that. So, where I am now, going back to what we were talking about before, we're always work in progress. We're always exploring more. There's always having that space of liberation to explore into who we are. And it's just so humbling for me to be able to take, women and men through this pathway. I call myself the mystic Sherpa sometimes, guiding yourself back to the truth of who you are. And to own it, because it's all very well having theory or having a textbook or looking at the gene keys and going, oh, well, that's great. Now I know who I am. That's fantastic. And then they go again, well, now what? I just got to contemplate it. Very valuable. I'm not knocking anything of that system. I just know how much more I can add to it because I'm living it and I've been through that and can see what that is. So fundamentally, I feel the more understanding you have of your own blueprint, the faster track you can peel back those layers to find it. And if I had had my blueprint 20 years, 30 years ago, my goodness, the journey had been different. And I'm helping my teenage boys with it now. That's the thing. It's for any age and stage. So a long answer to your question, but I hope that has allowed people to relate to that story of knowing what it's like to live on those up and downs, and know what the relief can happen when you get your blueprints, and then take it to the next level of learning how to transmute into those higher frequencies.
Yes, absolutely. That's an incredible story. And thank you so much for sharing it.
You're
and
welcome.
I definitely think that people will resonate with so many parts of that story. There's so many different aspects of that everyone goes through, especially when they're opening themselves up to discovering their purpose, opening themselves up to discovering what they're carrying with them, what's preventing them, and also being willing to open yourself up to the concept that what we are living in is a 3D illusion, and that there is more, and that it's not what we think it is, and that we actually are limiting ourselves. And also what you said about really taking that next step, because like any system, you can discover things about yourself through that system, but then there's always that question of now what do I do? And the same with dream work. So you might not think your dreams mean anything, then you gain dream appreciation, then you start decoding them, then you unearth your subconscious blocks, and then now what? And so for anyone who's been through the eclipse dream journey, Josephine, because I recommend that you listen to her eclipse series meditations as part of that, because it really helps you transmute the darkness of your shadow when you're dealing with, in this case, nightmares, but for so many other applications, of course. But I found it so powerful when I came upon it that I said, she's my eclipse woman. I have to have her on the show, because it just, I mean, it was unlike any meditation I'd ever listened to. It was so I could tell, I could feel the shifts of the energy. And I knew that this is really powerful stuff right here.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. And it's something that I created a long, long time ago. It was my first recordings, I think 2016, back on Insight Timer, where I publish now. So there's a whole range on there of different talks and ideas and intro levels and deeper levels on there if people want to explore more. But I'm really delighted that it's been of use to your audience too.
Yes, absolutely. And I'd love to have you talk a little bit more about dimensional frequencies, because I integrate sound frequencies as part of my journeys as well, because I have found them so beneficial in really helping to lift the level of energy and to move energy. And it's not something that really requires efforting. It's just something that happens by proximity, by listening. And it's so accessible, I feel, to people that are beginning their journey and are just not sure how to deal with what they're discovering about themselves, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. The Hermetic phrase "as above, so below" is something that comes into my mind when we talk about this. So when people are starting out, they've discovered they've got this basket of stuff they finally got to look at, right? And it's like, well, now what do I do with it? And it's heavy weight to push it up, right? To clear it out. It's like, pushing it up the hill, right? It's exhausting. What do I do with it? And then it all sort of seems to tumble back down. So if we think, or can feel, more to the point, feel into that there is us here in this 3D reality, and there's sort of a version of us, our higher self, if you like, that's in different dimensions, where our intuition whispers in our ear, where we exist beyond this lifetime. That's what I call your universal self, hence the name of my first business, the higher self. So if you can be open and have that open heart to allow that to resonate, and you can have this belief, and the belief becomes a knowing, because it's really got to become a knowing to be able to embody it, because a belief is just from the mind. That's a great place to start until you have the experience of it, so you can embody it and know it. It's the difference between knowledge and inner wisdom. So once you have that, and you have that concept of higher self that is in different dimensions, and we won't go there today to discuss how many dimensions there are, because that's always up for negotiation. So let's just think for the moment that there's possibilities of 5 to 8D, and there are more, but let's just keep it within the realms of, because if I start going into higher frequencies, it's like we have a cutoff point that we cannot feel into that. So even if I talk about 5D, people go, oh, I can feel into that. I can know that's there. And the possibility that over the next horizon, if you like, is 6. So if you come back to this as above, so below, and you're open to both sides, then it's like a magnet. It's like a magnet. And your higher self can then sort of pull. And this is what the transmutation process is. This is what alchemy is. We pull out that debris because we're allowing it to transmute out of us, like through the flame, through the energy. So those higher dimension energies assist you clearing and transmuting what's stuck in the density of your body. But this is a process that goes beyond the mind. You can't think through this. It has to be an experience. And the more you can stay out of your own way and out of your own head and allow this to transmute through your body, mind, and spirit, the easier the process it is, the quicker the process it is, and the more sustainable it comes. And so I refer to the codes of remembrance, what we are innately encoded with. And they're all within us. We all hold these 64 strands of frequency, facets of frequency, I call them, within our DNA. And we're all uniquely coded to a certain ones. But if we allow the higher frequencies from the other dimensions to come in, water hose the debris down and clear it out, we become this much wider vessel for light to come in, to upgrade our systems naturally and easily. So we're not having to think our way out of the quagmire that we've got ourselves into in our mind. We're opening to the frequencies to assist us. As above, so below. Work with both. Does that help explain with a visual?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yes. Yes. And it's so important. It's so important to do that. I feel like that's what's missing when you said so many times in so many spiritual teachings, they get you to that one level, but then they don't do that next thing. And that's why I think energy healing is so important. And that's why many times I feel that dream work is a great complement to energy healing, because you have to have the energy healing. They go together. You have to have some sort of modality that's going to allow you to, like you said, to not think your way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, affirmations, I think are part of it, and journaling is part of it. But when you're journaling and when you're repeating affirmations, you're actually opening yourself up to a guidance that is coming from not outside of you, but the greater you,
space.
versus the the will in the brain and the hamster wheel of this dimension. And so it's a combination of opening and then allowing, like you said, and really being willing to let that work happen, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. There is a time of a percolation process. And when we work in the quantum, when we go beyond time and space, and I work through the principles of portalism. It's a word that I came with. So we come through the portals of our own coding. So that takes us into our existence way beyond any time or space. And that's where the real healing can be done, because we're not like some psychoanalyst trying to get in there and see what happened when you were 3 and let's unplug that part. And it's like crazy. I don't have the time or the patience for that. It's like let's go in and work energetically. We are all frequency, we are all energy. How can we clear the imprints from way beyond this lifetime, not just this lifetime, to clear out? And that's why your dream work is so valuable, because you do go into those subconscious parts that were programmed over lifetimes. So the sooner you go back through that portal and expand into everything rather than restrict it to the last 20, 30, 50 years, the easier it's going to be and the more that you clear.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So talk a little bit about your 2 books, The Alchemist's Awakening.
2020, The Alchemist's Awakening. I felt a call. It was like literally it popped in. It's like you're a scribe, you're a wisdom keeper. You need to document what's happening. And I follow an alternative thought to the mainstream. And I documented through the year, and I worked with, I have I don't know how to describe, Anne. We work in conjunction of energy deciphering and portal opening and doing some way out woo-woo stuff there. And the book is a combination of going through, in each section of the year, each month of the year, what was happening at that time, but what it meant energetically. And it's combined in with who we meant to, who have we come for? Who have we come here to be in this lifetime? Because there is a reason. I mean, there's a calling. There's no coincidence that we're all here at this transitional time. And I bring in the portal openings we did. I bring in the downloads of higher wisdom. It's a whole mishmash of all the aspects of, say, what I'm interested in, but what I'm guided to explore a lot of the ancient stuff, a lot of the future stuff, a lot of the cosmos stuff, but also what's happening here in reality, and relating what happened through 2020 in consciousness itself. And so I wrote the book over 2 volumes. The first one's more, let me rephrase. The second one's got more of the portal openings in and the higher wisdom of, brings in the ancient Egypt work with the Tree of Life and Hermetica. So that's probably more advanced, if you like. But still, both books are a great reminder of how consciousness and reality are entwined. They are not a separate thing. Spirituality is not a separate modality to this reality. Oh, there we go. That's a good phrase.
That's nice.
It's it's so interwoven that people have no idea. And I feel that no matter what age or stage you are, you can gain some insight, aha, or again, Alchemist's Awakening. What does it awaken within you when you read it? That was the purpose of writing the book. And I loved the process. And it's been quite an amazing journey to do those.
Oh, that's so fascinating. I'm going to have to check that out.
By all means.
Well, for people that would like to work with you, where can they find you online?
So my website, Josephine Sorciere, is the place to go. It's the first time with me, one-on-one, is an initiation. And it really is a transformational, profound journey into the next level of who you be. It is intense. It is big. It's not for everyone. There's plenty on the website for you to go and read. It is an investment, but it is an investment deeply within yourself. And if people have resonated with what I've shared today and my frequency, and they're like, okay, I'm ready to be challenged. I'm ready to face the truth of who I am, to have those illusions that I'm holding myself blinkered to, and say, stop suffocating your genius. Then the initiation is a fast track. It's a 2-3 hours with me of wisdom and activation, and it takes you into a whole new level of being. So that's for those that are like, okay, I'm done with the seeking, I'm done with the searching. I did 20 years or 16 years all up of my self-development journey, and I don't want it to take that long for other people. So if you're really ready to know, okay, well, I want to know what my blueprints are, I want to know what my design is, what those hidden fears are, and then have the experience of the transmutation through the alchemy itself, then the initiation is for you. If you just want to have a taste of the flavor of my activations, I have plenty on the app Insight Timer. I've got nearly 10,000 followers there, a whole range of levels, if you like, and of course the books available from my website or Amazon. So they are the places to start. But I welcome anyone that's really ready to go, you know what, I've got to dive in. I have to trust the process, because I just know that when I trusted the process, I surrendered and I followed the synchronicities, the teacher or the answers showed up every single time. So if you're having any inkling of that, follow your instinct, follow your gut, not your head, because this will talk you out of it, and dive in.
Yes, that's wonderful advice. If I didn't follow my synchronicities, I wouldn't be here. I follow my synchronicities every day, because those are the path. Those are the spiritual guidance that we just disregard so easily.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Josephine. It was wonderful to have you here, and I really appreciate all of your wisdom.
Oh, my pleasure. It's been a joy to share, and you can always reach out, or anybody listening, you can find me on Facebook or DM me if you have any questions. So thank you for your time. Thank you for all that you do, Megan, as well.
Thank you. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to my podcast now to ensure you never miss an episode filled with insights and wisdom. Head over to my YouTube channel where I share daily shorts and full podcast videos. Hit that subscribe button and be part of our growing community. Are you ready to take the next step in your spiritual journey? Don't miss out on the Women's Dream Empowerment Program, a unique opportunity for you to connect with your intuition, unlock your inner wisdom, and align with your higher self through dream work, personalized meditations, and healing sound frequencies. Finally, I want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this episode, please reach out. If you'd like your dream or awakening story featured on my show, submit it today. Your dreams have the power to inspire and enlighten other women on their journey. Visit womensdreamanalysis.com to find out more.